incredibly lucky to have three amazing guests join us. We've got Miss Leia Salonga, virtual clap, yay! We've got Malia Piles, and then we have Kim Barrios Lin. Yay! So I figured we would maybe kick things off since we kind of represent all of Asia. If you want to greet anyone in any of the local languages, if you might know any phrases, or you want to say hi.
I will let you
everyone.
guys go. I want to hear that.
No. Respectfully, I don't think I'll do it justice.
Okay.
Yeah, same. I'm sorry. I can say ni hao. That's about it.
Well, that'll do for the folks in Singapore, I think. I think there's quite a few Mandarin speakers over there. But for the Philippines, magandang anong oras na ba?
Umaga.
Alas 10 ng umaga. Alas 10 ng umaga. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Sa lahat ng mga taga-Pilipinas na nag-join sa atin ngayon. Hello! Hello. Magandang umaga sa inyo. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to HBO Asia for having us. This will be fun.
Yeah, amazing. So
this will be a good time.
I think 30 minutes with you all today, so we've got a lot of things to cover. I guess maybe we'll kick things off by how are you all feeling with, we've just had the season wrap up. How are you all feeling? What's top of mind right now?
Oh my God, that finale was wild.
Yeah,
so good.
That finale was wild. That was crazy.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's crazy to see it all unfold. For me and Leia, we were stuck in a auditorium for 3 days straight, sitting in chairs parallel to each other, and it was some brutal work. Definitely having to operate in that vulnerability, and just to see it all live, and the fan response has been incredible, and so I couldn't be happier, really.
Crazy, just so nuts. I mean, the thing about the filming is that you don't really know how it's going to look. I mean, we're filming it in pieces, and I think we filmed mostly like hour angles because I had to get right back on tour. So I think that the girls were doing stuff without us there. So I think, but yeah, you just have no idea how it's going to be edited, how it's going to look, after the colorists do their job, how it's going to come across on screen, and then we have to wait. I mean, we shot that finale in April, and it only came out in, was it August?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had quite a bit of sitting on our hands and waiting for everything, and well, the lovely Kim was not there with that finale.
Well, one thing I will say is just like there were so many tearful goodbyes, and especially with you two and cards exchanged. So I think the aftermath of the show premiering and the celebratory aspect of like getting to finally just have the hurrah of the thing we created has been so meaningful, because of course I like left you, Kim, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, we have to part ways now, and it's like, oh, I see you, I gotta see you again, which is great.
Yeah. And for it to be so well received, because it felt so special while we were filming it, and then we were just waiting to see what it would be like. And I don't know about you all, but I watched it like a fan. I kept forgetting I was a part of it, and I was just in awe and like loved every single moment of it, and I would have to like close my jaw shut because I was watching like this, So it's been such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it really was.
One of the things that I think a lot of the fans have said is that you three in particular, really developed such a strong chemistry, not just on set, but then off set as well. So how does, tell me about Honradas, and, what does that mean? How did this all come about?
Who wants to take this? One of you.
I mean, I can go. For me, it was like such a special experience to be able to have a family on screen. I think that's happened for me maybe once or twice. And there was a lot of nerves going into the process of like, who are these people that I'm going to have to create this parental relationship with. And I think meeting the two of them and just how thoughtful they were and so warm and welcoming, it made all those fears like quickly dissipate. And you know, we shot in upstate and we were pretty isolated from our normal lives. And so I think there was like a very real bond that formed, and it was really lovely going into the Anrata house scenes, even though sometimes they were like very emotionally intense scenes.
So tense.
But getting to like laugh and talk with these two brilliant women after getting berated by them was like really a joy.
Yeah, just watching that scene of me taking all the tech away. I think my own child was watching with me, and then she looked at me and said, "Are you going to do that to me, Mom?"
Not Nicole.
And I'm like, "I will never do that to you, I promise." I had to promise that I would not ever take her tech away, because she's got quite a bit. I mean, her father just gifted her with a Steam Deck, so it's like a big old video game. Alex, you look like you know what this is.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a techie at heart, so yeah. I should say.
So she has that, and then she has a Wacom drawing tablet because she draws a lot. She has a laptop. She has her phone. She has quite a bit of stuff that has to be plugged into the wall, and she's very happy. And then she chats with her friends on Discord as she's drawing or whatever. So I think it was over the pandemic that she really got into it. I mean, she kind of always was into it, but when you're in face-to-face school, you have to do everything analog. But over the pandemic, everything had to be online and digital. So I think she really, really, yeah. So the show was kind of art imitating life.
Right.
It was pretty
Kim,
interesting. But yeah.
I was just gonna ask Kim, your child's too young to watch, right? They didn't tune in, or did they watch some?
She's got a 6-year-old. I think that's
yeah, she's 7. She would
she's
tell
7?
her friends about it and say, "Oh, but I can't watch. My mom's on something, but I can't watch it."
Yeah, so we'll give her a couple more years, maybe.
Yeah.
A couple.
Yeah.
It felt like a family from the start. And I think that helped it to be easy because we came in with our walls down. Like Roberto and Lindsay made it feel like a family from the start, and everybody involved with production. As soon as you were contacted by wardrobe, even it felt like a family. It was just easy to get in, and these two are amazing. So it felt like a family from the start. Yeah.
One of the things I think on that note, because we are chatting with a lot of folks from Asia. Maybe if I change gears a little bit, I'd love to hear from you all in terms of, just Asian representation in film and media, and kind of what does that mean to you in terms of where we are now and where we have left to go?
Ooh.
Or is that too big of a question for?
It's quite. No, it's not too big a question. I mean, it's certainly much better now than it was when I was Malia's age. Which was a very long time ago. It is certainly better, and we are seeing, more people of color taking larger roles and not just being the token Asian in a show or the token Asian in a Broadway musical, which I've been. But of course, there's still a ways to go. Before I think mass media really is a reflection of this country. There is quite a ways. But having been raised in the Philippines and working, and not ever having had that feeling of, oh, I'm part of a minority, because I really wasn't, because I was, in Southeast Asia. To come to the United States, to Europe first and then to the US, and to get that feeling of, ooh, this is interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to know what you guys think about all of that. Yeah,
we've come really far from Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Clearly, I think we've come so far from that, but
that
it's
is
still
so painful.
I know.
Yeah.
That one's just. we've come so far, but it's been baby steps. I know, like there was, the boycott in 1999 when the TV networks pledged to become more diverse, and it's just been baby steps. But I really think there's just such a big shift with Crazy Rich Asians. It just sort of like broke open these doors and said, like, look, this is what that we and we look like the consumers and the viewers who are taking us in, and like the box office told all, right? It worked. So I feel like there was some sort of shift with that, and a really positive one.
For sure.
And with the Unradas too.
Yeah. And it was really such a refreshing thing to see Asian men represented as sexy, because for the longest time they were always cast as like triad members or criminals or not particularly, sexual beings. And then here comes all of these sexy Asian men. I'm like, this is the reality. This is how it's supposed to be. Why can't we have more of this? And that's what it really is. And it's sad that it was only in the 2000s that we get to see that. They've all existed. I mean, people like Paula Montalban in Cinderella with Whitney Houston and Brandy. And when I saw it on TV, I was just totally screaming. First of all, he was a friend of mine before that. And then second of all, it's an Asian man playing Prince Charming. I mean, that was huge. And he came off and he was handsome. Well, he still is. He's handsome. And that voice, and just, he was a prince. So, seeing things like that just make my heart so happy and jump with joy. Now we need to see much more of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, American media, it just has a lot of catching up to do. And like Kim talked about, like, we're just seeing a lot of first and glass ceilings being broken within the last like 10, 15 years. I think of Fresh Off the Boat, which was like the first television sitcom since the 90s that had an Asian American family. And then of course I don't know if that opened the door, but it was quickly after was Crazy Rich Asians. And that was, again, like the first Asian American led and all Asian cast in something like 25 years. And then we saw Parasite, and then we see Chloe Zhao, the first Asian woman to win an Oscar. And so we're seeing all these firsts, and that's really exciting. But it's long overdue, and I think we have a ways to go as far as representation. This was a really exciting project, I'm sure, for all of us. But for me, like getting that audition, it was like, it resonated so deeply with me immediately, but also it was just like, oh my gosh, they're casting an Asian American in this YA show that's so iconic as Pretty Little Liars. And they're not just saying ethnically ambiguous, or they're not just leaving the door open. They specifically want to tell an Asian American story. And, I think there's not been enough of that. And again, like, we still have ways to go, but it's been really exciting to be able to be a part of that representation. I know for me, like, auditioning as a young girl, because I've been doing this for like 10 years now, I had to reconcile with the fact that I wouldn't be considered for a lot because of the way I look and because of my ethnicity, while still operating from like the privilege of being mixed. And so I can only imagine how isolating that experience was for a young creative that was Asian American and couldn't occupy certain spaces that I could. And so it's a really prideful moment to be a part of this family and be a part of the story. But I'm just like, it's not done. Like, we still have a lot to do. And so I'm excited and grateful for our creators for allowing this story to be told, though.
Yeah, and I think, on that note, I think just seeing the success of diverse casts in shows like Pretty Little Liars, for example, I think that, to your point, that pushes the boundaries even further and really shows to, a lot of creatives and people in the space that, these types of shows are what people want, and they can be really successful when you showcase the breadth and diversity what folks actually look like in the real world, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like all those things were almost like a litmus test
Yeah.
to show that people will enjoy watching Asian stories, whether they're Asian American or like anybody. And so, you know, every story that we tell opens another door for somebody else. And so at the end of the day, I like sleep well at night knowing that that box was ticked.
Speaking of the OGs, I've got to say, Leah, I've been a big fan for a long time. I watched you in Miss Saigon. You were I think you were the first actress of Asian origin to win a Tony Award in 1991. So you've kind of seen the evolution all throughout. I mean,
Kind of, yeah.
What for you has been kind of when was the biggest change? Was it really kind of just recently with Crazy Rich Asians and kind of that emergence, or was it sort of a slow and steady evolution over time where we've started to embrace more of that diversity?
I think it's one of those things that kind of happens really, really slowly. I mean, that's what my observation was. And I really didn't, I mean, being in Miss Saigon, you're kind of in this little bubble because you're in a show where there are a lot of people that look like you or from, a similar part of the world. And it's a nice bubble to be in. And then, my contract was up and I was like, I think I'm done. And then I went into Les Mis, and to go from a cast where we were maybe 15 or 16 other Asian actors going into a cast where I was the only one, I was like, this is interesting, but I mean, it felt like a really safe and welcoming space. And then many, many years later, I did Les Mis again, and then it was like we had a Valjean who was Caucasian, a Javert who was African American, a Fontaine who was Asian American, Marius and Cosette who were Asian American. You had an ensemble that was it looked like the United Colors of Benetton. It was, I'm sorry if you don't get the reference, but for those of you that do,
I get
hooray!
it.
But yeah, so and then we see things like Hamilton, we see things like Six, and there are more and more musicals that are casting, not just to tick off the boxes, but because these are the best people for the job, hence they get the job. But it is slow. And I am thankful to Crazy Rich Asians for really pushing that needle forward and so quickly. But we can't forget that existed. I'm hoping for sequels, please. I want sequels for that story. If only to see, Henry Golding on screen. Because, I mean, come on.
I was going to say that when you're talking about leading Asian men, I was thinking to myself that, not everyone will look like Henry Golding. So
no, not everybody will look like Henry Golding. But then you have Harry Shum Jr., you got Jose Lana, again, Paolo Montalban. They're all out there. Just got to find them and cast them, but they're all out there. And then there's this new Jokoi movie. I haven't seen it yet. Where there's a Filipino-American family on screen, and then they're the center of that story. So it's nice to see more of these stories getting told, and Diane will kill me if I don't mention Yellow Rose. But it's great that, there are more stories, but we need more of them. And as to your question, the evolution doesn't stop. I mean, we've seen that there has been a shift, but the shift could continue to keep moving.
Yeah, I love that. I always think that it's, the arc of justice. I mean, that's MLK, right? The arc of justice takes long, but it always bends in the right direction. So I love that. I think that's beautiful. Kim, I'd love to hear from you. You describe yourself as Taiwan-Rican. I think that's
Yeah.
if I'm pronouncing that right, which is not really
My
a
mom
word.
came up with that. Yeah. Tyler.
I'd love to hear how has your multicultural identity impacted your career and your work?
Yeah, it's been I spent a lot of my life trying to fit into a box that I didn't fit into, and I've always been hyper aware of that. And I feel like it wasn't until like with my career that I started later in life. I had left, I started later, so I was, I think, a little more confident with myself that I really learned to embrace my ethnicities and really make sure that the parts that I was even auditioning for felt okay. Because like in the beginning when you're first starting out, I'll just speak for myself. I just sort of wanted to take anything, but sometimes these roles would come in and I'd say that doesn't feel right for me, or there's only so many times that I'd want to do this person with the accent, or I was studying accents that didn't belong to me, and so I think that just really appreciating my background and being confident and not just taking everything that came at me was something that became very important for me in my career. Yeah, embracing. Yeah. So obviously, when this came along, I was so excited. I sort of auditioned for it and said, "I'm just going to forget about this because I want it so bad. I'm just going to forget about it." Just like, shoo. Yeah. I was like, "Wait, this is a whole family."
It's a whole family.
I think one of the interesting things on about your kind of background is not just being sort of kind of an icon now of someone in the Asian American community, but also as someone kind of representing LGBTQ as well. And can you share a little bit more about kind of that experience and how that side of you has also impacted your career?
For sure. For me, this role was really important because, of course, it was an Asian American role, but also because it was a queer role. And then hearing that I would have two moms was even so much more exciting because thankfully for me, I had a very positive experience growing up, and with my coming out and my experience with my parents was really lovely, and just full of hugs and just there was never really any barrier there, but that's not the case for everybody, and that's not the case for a lot of Asian American or Asian families. And so I think it's really impactful to be a part of a not only queer family, but an Asian American queer family. I think it's being really thoughtful in the way that we're representing people that haven't always, culturally been okay with LGBTQ plus people, and that can be said for basically every single people that have ever existed. There's always barriers being broken for the community, but especially having a family that is so open to a dialogue. I mean, we never have the dialogue of queerness on the show because we all just exist in our queer bodies.
Yeah.
And that's enough. But I think reading in between the lines, you could see that there probably were conversations that happened with the Unradas before about Mouse's queerness that were positive and that were informative and that there was an open dialogue and a willingness to have conversations. And I hope that can stand as a beautiful example for maybe a mom that's sitting at home that doesn't know how to deal with her queer child, that you could just have a normal family life where queerness is not at the forefront of every dinner table conversation. It's just as normal as breathing or doing homework with your kid, so that would just added another layer of why this project was so special. I was like, wow, this is so many things in one that I want so badly for my peers and for the young people I see growing up right now is just the ability to be themselves. And so thank you to the Henradas for being that way. That is the only singing you'll hear me do. I'm like, I'm on the phone with Leia right now.
Yeah, I know. I was joking with my wife because our go-to karaoke song is Leia's version of A Whole New World with Brad, and she was like, "Oh, debut it," and I was like, "No, I'm not going to go anywhere near that with Leia." No, but on a serious note, I love what you said about just kind of making it as normal as being, and I think that in a lot of ways that the Asian community and the Asian American community have been maybe a little bit slower than other ones to kind of embrace LGBTQ plus and that level of acceptance. So I think that even just seeing these characters and the great work that you all have done, I think that has moved that community forward tremendously.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna do a couple of lightning questions because I think we only have about
Yeah, we
3
don't
to
have
4
that
minutes
much
left.
time left. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm the worst moderator in the history of.
No, you're doing a great job.
This has been great. It
I'm
flew.
just a chatty Cathy over here.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So we'll do kind of a lightning round, and we're calling it Asian edition. Okay, let's go. Noodles or rice?
Rice.
Yes. Rice,
Rice.
I think.
Bubble tea or coffee?
Bubble.
Oh man. No.
Coffee
No.
bubbles.
What time of day? I mean,
Yeah,
You can put bubbles in iced coffee.
That's what I do.
Ooh, how about
That's
that?
true.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Soy sauce or sriracha?
Sriracha.
Sriracha. Sambal.
Actually, you can combine the two.
Samba. Wow, that's a great one. Chinese or Japanese food?
Japanese.
Japanese.
Chinese.
Ramen is my heart and soul.
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom who's on this live right now because she always
Hey.
made me ramen when I was sick, and I love you.
Visit the Great Wall or the Taj Mahal?
Taj Mahal, because I've done the Great Wall already.
Oh, I'd like to do both. I haven't done
both.
either.
Can we do the boba and coffee thing and
Yeah.
blend
Yeah,
that in?
all together. Yeah, we can blend it all up. What about K-drama or K-pop?
K-pop, come on.
K-pop.
K-drama.
K-pop. Who are you listening to now? Who are your favorite K-pop artists these days? Anyone that you want to
Yes.
The queen of K-pop herself.
Yeah.
BTS.
Beach holiday or shopping in Shibuya, Japan?
Beach.
Shibuya.
I like the beach.
I hate shopping. I mean,
I don't like the beach.
oh,
Right? Filipino doesn't like the beach. Don't like the beach.
And then finally, who is A? That is the question that everyone has upvoted. Any hints?
oh well.
Are we trying
No,
to keep
kidding.
the spoiler free?
No, I'm just kidding.
Spoiler free? In case there are people here.
That was a trick
I
question
know.
to try to see if anyone would slip something.
I'm A.
Malia is A.
I'm A. But honestly, when I was texting Elodie from a burner phone, suspicious.
Ooh, yeah.
But I'm not actually A, guys. But I'd like to think.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought it was.
Any big spoilers you want to share that maybe people don't already know?
Oh gosh.
On that note,
Don't tell me to spill secrets because I absolutely will. You can't.
I actually want someone to list down all of the horror movie references that Tabby
Oh, yeah.
that Tabby always like, and even the stuff that she doesn't, because the ones that she does kind of telegraph where is this from, like this is Carrie, this is coming from Scream, this is coming from whatever. But how about the stuff that is just hidden? I want, I'm sure that there's a horror movie aficionado out there that took notes, or at least just knows what the references are, because I can't do horror. I mean, not anymore, not after The Ring. That scarred me for life. I was traumatized by that. It's so good, but it's just like, no, that was the end of horror movies for me.
Oh my gosh, it would be so cool if we paid homage to Asian horror movies to get to, continue in the future. That would be really rad.
Yeah.
I'll be Samara on the floor. I'll take that.
Oh my God. And then watch me run out of the room.
I would just scare you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I think we've taken up a whole bunch of your time, but thank you so much on behalf of HBO Asia. We love the work that you all have done. For
Thank
those that are on
you.
the live stream, you can catch Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. The full season is out on HBO Go. And thank you so much to Malia and Kim and Leia. We really appreciate everything you all have done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was awesome, guys.
Bye.
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 So nice to see you all.